There have been a lot of attempts to explain why Joe Manchin and other senators like him, but especially Joe Manchin, isn't gonna vote for anything and doesn't support even mild reform to the filibuster to make it actually like the filibuster. It's that he's too dumb, he doesn't know the history. We need to sit him down and explain it to him. He doesn't get the electoral consequences of his obstructionism. He doesn't know about the history of the filibuster when it comes to civil rights. He really just cares about bipartisanship. There actually are Republicans that can cross over, and this is how you do it. Those are all, I love you for having debates. We love a vigorous debate, but those are not the reasons. Some of them might also be true. I think there's a lot about history he doesn't know, and he seems kind of dumb, but that's not the actual reason. What's the actual reason? Well, thankfully, it's coming out. People are talking about it. Here is AOC.
Is that HR 1 stands up against lobbyists and dark money. And I would reckon to think that this is probably just as much a part of Joe Manchin's calculus as anything else. Because when it comes to this bipartisan argument, I gotta tell you, I don't buy it. Because Joe Manchin has voted for bills that have not been bipartisan before. Look at the American Rescue Plan. So this is not just about bipartisanship. This is, I think, because you look at the Koch brothers and you look at, organizations like the Heritage Foundation and conservative lobby groups that are doing a victory lap, claiming victory over the fact that Manchin refuses to change on the filibuster. And I think that these two things are very closely intertwined. And I think that there's a desire to make this just about protecting the franchise, but protecting our democracy is also about making sure that we give lobbyists and dark money groups, which are funding these attacks on the right to vote, the boot. But, corporate money has a very, very tight grip on both parties. And I think that has to do with the calculus in this situation that people aren't really discussing enough.
That's definitely true. Great job by AOC there, Jayar.
100%. 100% is the thing. That's what's not getting said. And as she went through that whole thing, there'll be people that go, "What? That doesn't happen, does it?" Because that's the first level of detachment. The other one is, oh, look at her talking about these unrelated issues. Like, it's just this is why you demonize people versus their policies and what they're saying. No one is going to address what AOC is saying. They're going to say, "Look at AOC talking again." That's all it takes. Oh, AOC's talking. She must be saying something I hate. Oh, she's saying something against what Joe Manchin's doing and how corporate money has a hold on politicians across the board. I thought we liked both sides' arguments. Why don't we love this one? Why isn't the media lapping this up? AOC said it's a both sides problem. Both sides are corrupted by corporate money. Why don't we say that? Why aren't we talking about the both sides?
This is the one exception.
She's nice and fair.
Yeah, you're right. Normally they'd be all over that. Not this one. Especially because the same things that she's indicating are corrupting both parties are also corrupting the media that doesn't want to talk about the fact that they're corrupted. You're totally right. Yes, and she's right. Yeah, he occasionally votes for some things. We occasionally, and we shouldn't say he doesn't support anything. There are some things that he and other corporate Democrats can support that don't actually endanger the stranglehold that corporate America and the 1% have on the American political system. But there are some things that they will not allow. And I will actually say we're sort of lumping two things together here. It's his opposition to the For the People Act and his opposition to doing anything about the filibuster. I actually think he would be much more likely to support the bill than reforming the filibuster, because the bill, all they need to do, I think, to get him to support it is to take out the fact that dark money disclosures would be enhanced and that sort of thing. Like, obviously his corporate overlords don't want their role in politics to be more obvious. Most of it he's probably okay with, but the filibuster is bigger because getting rid of the filibuster means he now has to actually engage with every piece of legislation. Right now he doesn't. So does he actually support the infrastructure bill? Will he actually support something that has to do with the pharmaceutical industries? All this, he is protected from having to vote at all on those bills by the fact that they'll just automatically be filibustered. He doesn't actually want that. A case could be made that he's not necessarily that interested in it becoming easier for Democratic senators to get elected, because then eventually the filibuster might not even be necessary. It might not even matter if the actual distribution of power in the Senate was reflective of the actual will of the people, because that would again put him in a position where he has to actually vote on legislation that potentially endangers the only constituents of his that he actually cares about.
And those
it's all corruption.
And all those are corporations. By the way, he get my last thought on this section of his thought process. He can honestly say, I would like for Americans to make more money. I would like for voting rights to pass. I would like for women to get paid equal amounts as their male counterparts. I would, but the people who pay me don't want that. I work for them. There's plenty of people, I'm sure there's folks that work at Fox News that don't like the conservative lying agenda that most of the shows on there push. But I'm just a producer on the show, bro. It's just the whole network is pushing this direction. I can't go any different. I don't want to, but they're paying me to do differently. That's all that he's saying. It's all the politicians are. They go into office saying they want to do a certain thing, and then once they're there, they start doing other things based off of who's paying them and who's influencing them, not based off of their principles anymore. Yeah. So I just get paid by my bosses to do their work. That's Joe Manchin's doing. He's not doing work for himself or for his constituents. He's doing it for the people who are paying them.
Yeah, related to this, we got a super chat from Hilltop Ironworks who says, glad that Bowman and AOC are hinting at corporate money, but they should be specific. Read off FEC filings during the next interview. That's spicy. Yeah, I'm definitely in favor of that. We're gonna have to unfortunately jump around a little bit, but to go to Jamal Bowman's tweet, he said Congress could end this oligarchy today if they wanted to, but they don't, and we know why. They don't serve the people. The filibuster, bipartisanship, and every myth perpetuated by Manchin and so-called moderates preserves a system built for and by the wealthy elite, which it's not pulling any punches there. Yeah, that's the case. That's what it's upholding. All this myth stuff is nonsense.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.